Here I am again, 2022, listing my favorite movies of the year. This list is completely arbitrary. I saw 106 movies this year, but I still missed a lot of great ones. I wasn't able to see Tar. That's a bummer. And I'm not going to talk about all the great movies that came out this year. Just to name a few. Funny Pages, Bros, The Menu, Mad God, Moonish Daydream, Bardo, Stutz, Genius, Pinocchio, the Guillermo del Toro one, not the shitty Disney one, Marcel the Shell, and Triangle of Sadness. Check them out. All really good movies. Number 10, I have Avatar, The Way of Water. And I don't even like the first one that much. I think it's like solid, but for some reason, like I was just such like a fan of this film. And I think it's just like what it represents and like what it does and like what it's trying to do for movie theaters. Like the idea of this being the sequel to the biggest movie ever made just like captivated me. I saw this movie in IMAX 3D. In my opinion, the only way to watch this movie. I was immersed. And I feel like immersed is such like a small scale word for like what this experience was, but I was just in it. You know, I was in Pandora. From a visual perspective and just a technical perspective, this film, I think it's perfect. The story is not. I didn't like a lot of the story choices. If there was a way to like turn the dialogue off this movie and just like listen to like the ambiance, the score, just like everything else going on, the technical stuff, it would be a 10 out of 10. Honestly, it's great from that perspective. And there's some story stuff and themes and stuff that were well done and whatever. I respect James Cameron, although very CGI, still practical in some senses. Really good. Check it out. Watch it in a theater. IMAX 3D if you can. At number 9, I have a lot of people's number 1, and that's Top Gun Maverick. I love Top Gun Maverick. I love it. You know, you can say what you want about Tom Cruise as a person, but Tom Cruise the entertainer, like he's here and everybody else is like down here. Like Tom Cruise the entertainer, like what he does for us, the audience, I just respect the hell out of it. He's hurling himself out of buildings and helicopters and doing barrel rolls, teaching himself how to fly jets for us, and like he had the crew and the cast like learn and like have flying lessons just to make this film as authentic and practical as possible. What this film did for theaters, I love that too. It made like over $1 billion. I never saw it coming. I never expected to love this movie as much as I did. But there is so much heart and so much passion for this film. I think this film is going to set an amazing precedent for sequels and reboots for the future. Or at least I hope so. Or it'll be terrible. Who knows? But this film is great, and that's what matters. It's number 9. And number 8, I have The Northman. The Northman is sick. Shame on the studio for marketing this film as if it's like some big like action like epic piece, because that's not what this is at all. This is a character study, basically, and it's more of a commentary on like the male complex and a character grappling with his own fate and destiny and the fate that he feels like he's destined to have. Way more than like an action film. This isn't an action film at all. It's not going to be a film for everybody. I saw it with my buddy and my girlfriend. My girlfriend hated it. My buddy loved it. So you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. It just depends on who you are. I loved it. It's number 8. I'm just noticing my list is kind of a sausage fest. But at number 7, I have The Banshees of Inisherin. Martin McDonagh is probably one of my favorite like writers working today. And I think it's just because of the voice that he gives his character and his world. It's so just unabashed in a lot of ways. He doesn't pull his punches at all. He says what he feels like needs to be said in the film, and I love that about his dialogue and his work. All the performances and characters in this film are really well fleshed out and really well developed and incredibly acted. Barry Keoghan, fantastic. Carrie Condon, probably gonna win the Oscar, and I think she deserves it. She's great in this. Just like a really, really well done movie. And I can't really say anything else. Like, it's just really well done. And you should watch it. It's on HBO. At number 6, a lot of sequels on this list, I'm noticing. But at number 6, I have Glass Onion. I respect the hell out of Rian Johnson. And I respect the hell out of Rian Johnson because Rian Johnson respects me and everybody else watching the movie. He knows exactly what we are thinking when we're watching murder mystery movies. And he thinks 4 to 5 steps ahead to make sure when he shows us something, when we think something, he leads us down a path that would make us think something else and make us forget or distract us from something else that is happening. The guy knows exactly how to play on the audience and what our expectations are and how we think it'll unravel. He knows all the conventions and tropes of the genre, and he loves to toy with them, reconstruct them, redefine them. He's a master of playing on I'm gonna say it, subverting expectations, and I love that about him as a filmmaker. Everybody loves these movies, and they deserve the love. They are great fun. They are great entertainment. At number 5, I have The Batman. Take away my pre-existing sentiment and bias for the character of Batman, this film is still just phenomenal. It's the cinematography and the music and the sound, all fantastic. Matt Reeves builds just a wonderful world, a fantastic homage to noir films of like the 40s and 50s. The world building of Gotham here is probably the most authentic to the source material, but not only the most authentic, it's also just the best done of all the adaptations of Gotham. It defines the world and this kind of like criminal underbelly so well. The way the story unravels, I'd say the third act could have been stronger, but the first 2.5 acts are so perfect that the third act, although not perfect, is still really great because of how the other stuff set it up. He was on my list last year, he's on my list this year. At number 4, I've got my boy Steven with The Fabelmans. Steven Spielberg is my favorite filmmaker of all time. It's such a basic pick, but he absolutely deserves the praise he gets. He's a master of emotion and wonder in film. All these ideas that are supposed to be like expelled out of people while they're watching films. The guy just gets it. In this film, it's 2.5 hours of watching his parents call it quits. So it's depressing, but there's also this element of Steven discovering film and his curiosity with film, and that related to me as a film guy. The emotional moments hit. I love Steven Spielberg, and I'll leave it at that. I think with like COVID and everything, filmmakers were inspired more than ever to make films that were made for the theater and saving the theater. And I feel like a lot of films like Avatar and Top Gun did a really good job with that. But I feel like the best one of that kind of type of film that came out this year was the one that gets talked about the least, and that is Nope. Nope is my number 3. It's a film that knows exactly what it is and just embraces and relishes its role as this just big, like summer blockbuster, just spectacle film. It kind of strokes itself off. I felt like in a lot of ways this was like Jordan Peele's like victory lap after the success of his first 2 films, but the guy has earned it. Like, the guy is great at building suspense, and this film is super suspenseful, super tense. The characters and performances. Daniel Kaluuya, while his character isn't given a lot, what he does with what he's given is just phenomenal. There is so much depth built into this character without him given a lot to do. Keke Palmer, definitely the standout performance of the film. She brings a lot of energy, a lot of fire to the role, and I love that. Great for movie theaters, great theatrical experience. If you didn't see this in theaters, it's a real bummer because it's a real spectacle, and it accomplishes exactly what he was trying to do. It's number 3. All right, so now it's time for my 2 and 1, and let me tell you, I really struggled with this for a while, but at the end of the day, I think I just decided that one film was just a little better. So with that being said, at number 2, I have Babylon. Love this film. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. I understand why it's so controversial, but I don't know, I just found it completely mesmerizing. And again, it's a film about filmmaking. Like, right out of the gate, this film just sweeps you off your feet, and just for 3 hours, you just get bounced around like a pinball. Damien Chazelle, he just hopes that you can keep up with what is happening on screen, but at the end of the day, he's not going to wait for you. This film just keeps going and going and going, getting more and more crazy. It was such an exciting experience, and I saw it. There was like 2 people in the theater, but I was just like, my mouth was just like on the floor the whole time. Like, the camera movement, the energy in the performances, cinematography, the music, it just all just comes together and culminates in this just like giant just clusterfuck of a film. Like, so much is happening, and it is an absolute blast of 3 hours. It flies by. It was 3 hours, but it absolutely flies by. It felt like an hour and a half movie. It's number 2. But it's only number 2 because I don't think it quite hit on the emotional moments that my number 1 did. Yeah, my number 1 film of the year is Everything Everything. It's the absolute film bro pick for number 1 this year, and there is absolutely good reason for it. What I love about A24 as a studio is that it gives actors who maybe got like a raw deal a second chance. You're seeing it with The Whale, you saw it with Uncut Gems, and it just gives these actors that they know have potential their time to shine. And Michelle Yeoh and Ki-Hoo Kwan give 2 Oscar-worthy performances in this film. The film absolutely just nails it on every emotional moment. It doesn't like alienate anybody at all. Like, it is one of the most relatable films of the year. I cried in the theater. There is just so much passion and energy. The Daniels made one of the most unique theatrical experiences that I've ever seen. And at the end of the day, I feel like it's going to be the film that gets remembered from this year the most, and I think it absolutely deserves it. It was absolutely great. I'm rooting for it for the Oscar. Everything Everywhere All at Once is my number 1. And that's my list. Check out these movies. Or don't. I don't care. Alright, have a good New Year's.